Hello, how are you this day? I hope you're wonderful and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And if you didn't already do it, you should check out my special video series that is called Our Historic Hunkered Down Home Alone Together Happy Holidays. It's got some great tips for having a good holiday despite the appearance of uh, things not being so good because you're home alone. It's good. You should try it. So with that in mind, I wanted to add something else. During this holiday season, I am going to be giving away one of my books. I have been releasing things it dawned on me that I've got these bookcases and I have a lot of the books I've read. I think they're wonderful. I don't plan to read them again. And so I am going to be both on the Home Alone series and on this. I'm going to offer a book. It'll be the same book. And you just can put, I want that in the comments, or if you want, you can private message me. But the book that I am going to give away right now, I already have a few names in, so you want to get in. So we're going to have a drawing for it, and it is called The Wisdom for a Lifetime. It's written by a Unity minister, Alden Studebaker. Very good book. It's really about how to engage the Bible in a whole new way. Because a lot of times, a lot of people, it's the most widely bought book it's bestseller for like all time, yet it usually sits on a shelf in the bookcase and collects dust. So this will get it out of that bookshelf and into your hands and take a whole new look at it. A way that probably won't scare you like sometimes it can, but it'll teach you how to get the real essence of the Bible out of there. So all you have to do is put I want that in the comment section and you'll have a shot at it. So, okay, so tonight we are doing our Rise of the False Gods. This is going to take a few days. So, as a matter of fact, today is Friday, so we won't be getting together again until Monday. Give you some time to think about the things that we are talking about. And what it is, the topic is verses, sorting it out. Now, my hope when I wrote this chapter was to help you to see two different sides of a thing that could be somewhat confused and kind of get a deeper understanding. Well, Tishy, come on. Of course, Tishy wants to join us. You coming? You coming? I know. You know it's time for us to do our thing. There you go. Okay. Come on up. There she is. All righty. Can't do the class without Tishy. All right. So, like I say, my hope is to take a look at both sides of things and maybe help the teaching settle in. So, this is about recognizing the works of false gods in our lives. And what are false gods? States of consciousness, ways of thinking. It's a collection of thoughts based on their type that work to keep us from really living a good life and enjoying it. Okay, so I have word pairs, and there's a bunch of them, so this will probably take three nights to do, so I hope you enjoy it. The first one is self-indulgence versus self-discipline. So that's that. Remember the pit and the pendulum the other night? So, it's like it swings back and forth. In the present stage of development in human consciousness, there's not much support for self-discipline. As a matter of fact, some of the commercials on TV and stuff really bother me. Some of them, the children are, they don't like their broccoli, so the mother gives them Kraft macaroni and cheese instead. No, where's the vitamins in that? Now, I would venture to say there were some complaints on that to Kraft, because now they advertise it with them putting the Kraft macaroni and cheese and the broccoli together. So the Kraft macaroni and cheese masks the broccoli. I love broccoli. What a shame that we can't just enjoy broccoli for itself. As a matter of fact, I, when I eat things, I try to reduce the excess chemicals or salt or additives or whatever. So a lot of times if I'm having broccoli, I just have broccoli. I don't even put salt on it. It's good enough on its own. And other times I don't, but I'm eating the broccoli. I don't need to smother it in cheese in order to eat it. All right, although it makes a heck of a quiche, I'll tell you that. All right, so there is a lot of temptation. I saw a commercial one time, and it was for beer, and I have my daily wine. I'll have an occasional beer, goes very nice with pizza, and I don't happen to have a problem with, with alcohol, like I know a limit. So I know there are people who can't do that, and I honor and respect them. But they have a beer commercial out where they're getting up on like a Saturday morning and putting on a ball game and getting out the beer. That's a little, I bet they don't get much else done during the rest of the day. But those are just, it's all about pandering to ourselves. Self-indulgence. Putting ourselves before our own good. Putting ourselves before the good of the whole. The problem is, every time we say, think, or do something that is self-centered, we stunt an opportunity for spiritual growth. What is it that Scott Peck said? It's that no, that was Al Gore. It's inconvenient and uncomfortable to do the right thing. And Scott Peck said it was laziness and narcissism that pulls us down. So we're not living our oneness. Our oneness is the truth of our being. And if you can comprehend the fact that we are a part of the greater whole, and when I say the greater whole, I mean the unlimited greater whole, right throughout the whole universe, that we are one with each other, that's individuals, families, the whole different countries, the planet, our relationship with the planet, our relationship with the creatures on the planet, and the trees, and the whole biosphere. We're all one. So every time we damage the environment or damage another person, or God forbid blow someone up, we are being contrary. We're behaving in a way that is contrary to our inherent oneness. If you already know that, if you comprehend that we are a part of a greater whole, congratulations, you're awake. You're one of us. There are those who already get that. And we've talked before about how difficult it is to try to engage someone who doesn't get that at all. But what do? We speak our truth with love. So we're going to talk about some of the self-indulgence that we do in our lives that is could be corrected with a little self-discipline. One example is creating unnecessary waste and pollution, or littering. That is abuse of the planet. Now, the fact that we can't get past that is a real issue. I mean, look at the plastic in your refrigerator or in your cupboards. They say that people won't have enough jobs and stuff. Well, let's put ourselves to work at finding ecologically sound ways to live without all that plastic. Yes, they can repurpose a lot of it, but you got to hear this. You're not going to like it, but it's the truth. We have far more plastic that we put into the trash, landfills, even the recycles, that we can ever recycle. So we want to, we talk about recycle. Well, that's leading off the other two very important R's, which are reduce and reuse. I reduce and reuse until something is no longer reusable. So, what can you reduce and reuse and then recycle? What can you say no to because it is not it's not ecologically sound? You know, like for instance, I can understand having to have like a creamer, those flavored creamers in plastic right now. There could be glass, but that is break easy, and you know, and there is in many cases a dry version, and they put the dry version in plastic. They shouldn't have to. You can put it in one of those little round cardboard containers, you got a much better chance. Yeah, it's a little bit more trouble, probably a little bit more expensive, but what is the price of the planet? What is that price? Look at the jobs we can create in finding new ways of living. So I was talking earlier in my holiday video today about the fact that, you know, we all want a genie. We want to be able to rub a magic lamp and have a genie pop out. You know what? I'm going to tell you about that magic lamp. You want to rub a magic lamp? This is how you do it. Because we are geniuses. That's the truth. The truth of our being is we are geniuses. We can come up with all kinds of amazing things. All we have to do is put our mind to it. Turn our problems into projects. We can do it. And together we can do it so much easier because we're one. What if everybody was jumping on the same team with vaccines instead of all fighting it out individually and wanting to be the one that comes up with the first one and make all the money? Can you imagine? Yeah, we'd already all be vaccinated. Got it? Yes, and Cheryl says, I would gladly pay a little more for planet-friendly packaging. Totally. When we had Girls' Weekend last year, not this past September, the one before, when we actually had food we could share, we used recyclable plates, bowls, and even the silverware. Everything was recycled. It was biodegradable. If we can do that, think of the things we can do. We're only lost because what? Laziness and narcissism. It's inconvenient and uncomfortable. Let's think on that. But instead, we basically do what we want. It's not healthy or respecting the environment that provides food, clothing, water, shelter, and the nurture of nature. Nature is nurturing. So that's why I stand for not letting drilling happen in our wonderful, unique parks and environments and in the wild. We need that. It feeds us. We're talking about food. We're talking about feeding our spirit. If you haven't seen the Grand Canyon or the Canyon de Chelly, or my God, when I made that trip cross country, it was just so wonderful. Okay. When we practice self-discipline, we grow, we help others, and feel better about ourselves. Right now, because we're going into another time of, being told to stay home, stay in, guess what? Shelves are empty again. Oh no. But why is that? Because people are putting themselves above the greater whole. Whether that putting themselves first has to do with making sure they've got, even if nobody else does, or whether it's even worse, sucking it all up to charge it, to sell it to others at a higher price. Pretty pathetic. I look at the consciousness of our collective consciousness at this time, and I see it as a state of adolescence. I think that the state of human consciousness, what I call the collective perspective, and if you're not one of them, that's okay. You're awake. You're here to help enlighten the unenlightened, and that's a fact. But the universe is in a state, the collective consciousness is in a state of adolescence. You know how adolescents rebel, I ain't wearing no damn mask, you know, that kind of thing. If I want to have a party, I want to have a party. How sad that there was a Jewish wedding with 7,000 people with no masks and singing and dancing and shouting and in the middle of a pandemic. And then the Supreme Court, blocking Andrew Cuomo's restriction on the numbers of people that can attend worship services. It's opening the door. No, I'm not afraid of the virus. I am smart, and I respect the science behind it. And I respect the science that's going to deal with it. And I'm going to do what I need to do for all of us. Well, there we go. Rant time, and I'm off and running. Okay. I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. Next, we are looking at influence versus inspiration. Now, I'm going to kind of fly rather quickly through this because we have talked about this repeatedly. Excuse me. But I wanted to put it in here so that it's like a reinforcement of what you've been learning. As our mind is our connecting link to God, to the universe, to divine mind, it is also our connecting link to each other. One moment. Okay. Because the mind is pivotal, it can switch its focus. It can switch its focus to me, 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 to we, to all of us, to the divine mind of God. We choose where we focus. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. All right. I'm going to read it because it's easier than trying to explain it. We make ourselves vulnerable to influence when we turn our mind to our lower nature, which is called the carnal mind or the mind of the flesh. Excuse me. Consider the term under the influence. Isn't that interesting? The word under. We are under the influence. It's like there's something pushing us down, or should we say influencing us? Okay. If we deconstruct the two words, influence, we get to flow in. So we're having the thoughts of this sea of consciousness that we're immersed in flowing into our minds. It flows in through our eyes with what we see, our ears with what we hear, our mouths with what we say, and what we put in the mouth. And because Jesus said, remember, what is not so important, what goes into the mouth, that is much as what comes out of the mouth. I still got those mice on my mind, but I think I've got that under wraps for now. Okay. Okay. Now, to inspire, the word spire means spirit and breath. So to inspire is to breathe in. Remember, Adam and God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So when we are inspired, we are more alive, because being a spiritual being, having a human experience, we breathe in that breath of life and we are lifted up. And how wonderful to be thinking about this during the holiday season when we really want to be inspired. So we see that our lower mind is subject to the flow of race consciousness, or the collective perspective, and the realm of false gods. What are false gods? States of consciousness, energy, thoughts. To be inspired is to look at the highest point and let spirit breathe into us. It is simple, but it's not always easy. Everyday life is like living in a sea of thought, often with the waves crashing across headlines or screens. To achieve inspiration, we must train ourselves. If you had I'll use my pen. If you had a pen, okay, and you hold either end, and you can, if you got a pen handy, do it now. You will notice that you can pull the pen down more easily. Even if the upper hand is trying to hold it up, it's easier to pull it down than it is to pull it up. It's much harder to pull it up than to pull it down. That's gravity. And so we're subject to gravity, aren't we? But that's only our human self. Our mind is unlimited. So in order to keep lifting ourselves up, it'll take more work. It'll take spiritual exercises, positive thinking, prayer, inspiration. Okay, now let's see. I'm hoping to get this piece done in 10 minutes, but it's kind of a big piece, so I don't know if I can, but let me try. This is on luck versus divine order. The casinos overflow with people, glazed eyes pumping into machines. I have seen this. I'm sorry, but I do like to go to the casino once in a while. Just kind of a fun thing to see if I can make any money. That, a lot of religions say it's a sin. You should not go. That's actually principle-based because people are very subject to their ego. And the ego wants to get something for nothing. We just want to, remember? Laziness and narcissism, inconvenient and uncomfortable. We want to be comfortable and we want to get something for nothing. But I don't have an issue with the little, I bring $20, okay? So I say, I'm going to play with $20. And when it's gone, I'm done. And I did have an experience one time. It was like my first time in Las Vegas. And I call that grown-up Disneyland. It's all around you, And I spent what I had, and I'd had an agreement with my friend that I was there with, that when my money was gone, we would leave. And so I spent my little bit of allowance, and I didn't do well with it. So meanwhile, when you go into the casino, you get coupons and stuff. So I got a coupon for a free phone call. And this is when I was driving to California to move there. And so I called my sister with my free coupon. Now, while I'm sitting there and talking to my sister on the phone, my friend is just sitting on a chair in front of a casino and looks down and picks up, there was a quarter somebody left in the tray. You can tell how long ago that was. They used real money. So he slipped out the coin and he put it in the machine. He pulled the lever and $14 came out. Really? And I said to him, hey, you got that for you. Why don't you split it with me? So I can do a little bit more. And he said, nope, we had an agreement. When the money's gone, we're done. And I got to tell you, I was really ticked off. But I learned that's not a place I want to be. You have to have self-discipline or don't even go. It is frightening to me to see people pumping probably money they don't have to pump in. Now, some people are very lucky. And if they have their certain amount of money, and even the people I know that go there and they bring more than $20 with them, but They have their limit. This is what I'm willing to play with. Okay. I am not encouraging gambling. I'm just saying that if you like to gamble and you don't have a problem with saying no, unless you start letting it work against you or take you over. Okay, so let's keep going. Well, here was an interesting thing that occurred to me. At the tables, you get chips. So you turn in the money, get the plastic chips. So you're playing with the chips. And I had this realization today, okay? First time I stepped into a casino was like 40 years ago. But I realized today that they disconnect. With using chips, they disconnect the fact that that's money. You're thinking you're just playing with chips. You don't realize you're playing with money. That's your money. You might think about it a whole lot different if you put down a $20 chip or you put down a $20 bill. You'd probably think twice about that. Just saying. I did some research on this and found out that 70% of lottery winners are usually broke within a few years. 70% of lottery winners. 50% of marriages end in divorce. There are many people who push their luck. If we get married just because we think we're in love, that's not necessarily true. You've got to make sure you've got a foundation on that marriage or it's not going to last. A lot of people push their luck. They text or drink while they're driving. They cheat on their taxes. They hope they'll get lucky and won't get caught. Some folks think they are unlucky. That's the way they live. They think they are unlucky. And others seem to win every time they buy a raffle ticket or enter a contest. What is up with that? Well, I'm going to tell you what's up with it. By right of consciousness. I put down regarding the marriages, the divorce rate. I said it probably would be higher if not for people who actually don't get married. They live together, start a family, and then it doesn't work out. And so that's kind of like an unwritten marriage, unwritten divorce. But if you put those, which we used to call in my day shacking up, if you put that, see, and not you have to understand, talking about principle is not making a moral judgment, okay? It's making a common thing that when we move in with someone without a real commitment, or if we get married to someone, we're not sure that real commitment is there, we're gambling. We're gambling. And the outcome is usually painful. And even though we can get divorces a whole lot easier than we did, back in the 50s and 60s, that doesn't make it any less painful. Okay. Some people think they're unlucky and they hold that. That is a state of consciousness. And you will find that if someone really, really believes they're unlucky, they are unlucky. As I'm doing this, I'm having a really hard time telling these stories because I'm feeling that someone either think I'm judging them or they're judging me for the fact that I've said I go to casinos. I go at least once every 3 years for a couple of hours. I have a friend who always wins. I'm not kidding. If it's bingo, if it's a raffle, it's some kind of drawing, she wins every time. And I never could figure out, what is that? Then, at the campground, we have bingo, and we have different games that we play. And when we do bingo, we do it for everybody, so the grown-ups and the kids. And what I have realized, I could write this down. I could give you facts and numbers on this. The children win more than the adults. They validly win more than the adults. And I believe that's because those children believe they're going to win. They have an absolute belief, I am going to win this. And they do. And that's that. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, okay? But we're talking about the thoughts that are held at the very core of consciousness. We get, through principle, the law of mind action, we get what we expect. Now, we can be there hoping when we play that game we're going to win, and we can really try to push that positive thought. But if we are losing, by right of consciousness, we're going to keep losing. If we hold that thought, any kind of thought that we're not going to win, we're not going to win. Now, this is really tricky, because when we talk about right of consciousness, it's like we can say something, we can say it with conviction, we can say it like we really mean it, and we can train our mind on working for that. But there are always other factors. Spirit works in a non-linear way. It's always the law of cause and effect, but it doesn't always work the way we think it's going to work, because it's working through our consciousness, but we don't control it. Our deepest held thought is what we get, because that's what we really, really expect. The law is always in effect, whether we like it or not. When one lives the law, they may win an unexpected windfall and call it luck. But it's more likely it could be the residual effect of their background, of what they have done previously. For example, if someone is very generous, and they give, and they give, and they give. Remember, the Bible says, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. So that means if you're giving, don't be like, thinking about how much money you're giving, or telling the world what you give. Just give it. Just give it, and don't think about it. And eventually, just that same law of circulation is going to come and bless you. And you're not going to realize that that is the fact. It happened because you are a generous person. And if you are in right consciousness about it, that money will serve you well and will not be wasted. Especially if when you get that windfall, the first thing you do is tithe on it. Okay. Yep, going a little bit late, but I got to finish this little section because it's really important. Okay, this is another difficult time. Put your seatbelt on and try not to hate me, okay? I'm just telling you principles. I'm not getting personal, as much as it may feel like it's personal. At least personal on my part. I was watching a thing with Mary Trump was talking about her family, and that her grandfather, Donald Trump's father, was very much into positive thought. They went to the Marble Collegiate Church, which is the church of Norman Vincent Peale. Now, I actually got very upset with a newscaster one day because she called it the positive thinking cult. But here's the thing. The way it's being applied by the behavior of Fred Trump and what he taught his family is what we call metaphysical malpractice. They are not looking to the spiritual principle behind it, but it's more like a forced bully thing, which can cause a lot of problems. So when positive thoughts and feelings and actions are consistent in mind, good will come. What we believe about luck determines our outcomes. Now, in Fred Trump's teaching of his children, he told them losing is not an option, and you must win at all costs. Well, it doesn't come out that way in the end, which can be demonstrated in the facts of what is happening. I'm having a hard time with this. I don't want to offend anybody. If you were she said, in their family, in the Trump family, if you became ill, that was a flaw that you had. And so when Fred Trump's wife became ill, Donald Trump's mother, she was looked down at like she brought that on herself. In the very core essence of right of consciousness, perhaps, could have been something she came in here to work with, or could have just been, it is what it is. So it's about consistently held thought, and you can't force thought. You cannot, you can bully and you can say, and I mean, I think that, forgive me, I think that Donald Trump's refusal to admit, to concede, has to do with the fact that he was raised and trained that if you have to win, if you don't win, you are a loser. And it wasn't like, I love the story about the kids with the, there were kids playing a little league, and their little league had this thing that whichever team won bought the losing team pizza after the game. They all had pizza together, and the winning team paid for it. That's good sportsmanship, okay? Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. I don't have to say sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. Our biggest competition is against ourselves and our own thoughts, our own thought processes. So I don't know, I feel almost compassion as I think about what must be going in the head. And it doesn't matter. You may think you're grown up. You may be 70 some odd years old, but you can be reduced to being a child in 5 minutes if something from your past that you haven't worked on and healed kicks up inside of you. Don't know if I told you about the time my mom and I were watching TV, and she was actually starting to demonstrate Alzheimer's symptoms or dementia or whatever. And in the very, very beginning, sometimes people just get crabby and whatever, but we weren't even at the point of realizing it. So we were watching a commercial. I was over 60, okay? You got to get this. I was like 65 or something. And so we're watching a commercial for Spam, and it was about putting Spam on pizza. And I went, oh my God. And my mother reamed me, just because you're a vegetarian and, not everybody eats the way you eat. And I was like, and at 60-something years old, I went to bed and I cried all night because my mommy yelled at me. So imagine what it would be like for Donald Trump to be going through a time where he was raised in what I consider to be metaphysical malpractice of having this mindset that you have to be so positive and it has to work your way or you're a loser. You're not a loser, you're a learner, because we have to learn from our mistakes. And if you're not learning from your mistakes, you will never achieve real success. Okay. If we win without doing the work in consciousness, the winnings will soon disappear. I invite you to look into the finances of the finances of the Trump family and the bankruptcies and what really happened, just to understand. This is hard. It's about right of consciousness. This is not about blame. This is not about politics. Hear me when I'm saying this. I'm talking about the law of mind action. I'm talking about how we've trained our minds for better or worse and how it can impair our spiritual growth. Luck or divine order? It's all a matter of the mind. It's all a matter of right consciousness. If we fail, now here's what, and this is one of the things Neil Donald Walsh in the book Conversation with God talks about the prayer behind the prayer. So if we're praying, and if, let's say, we know we're unity, so we do affirmative prayer, so we're saying, I see that my body is fully healed. I see that my body is fully healed. Thank you, God, for freeing, for healing my body. But if your mind and your thoughts and your feelings are not aligned, if a part of that, let's say your feelings are going, this ain't gonna work, this ain't gonna work, this ain't gonna work, I'm never gonna get out of this, that's actually the prayer behind the prayer, because that's the prayer that's held in subconscious. Okay, I do apologize. I really ran over tonight. And so I'm going to leave it there. I wish I could keep going, but I want to respect your time. Tomorrow we're going to start out with love versus hate. And maybe I'll just finish up the last things I was going to say tonight that I didn't. Sorry I got off track and ran off. I hope you'll be back tomorrow night. And, oh, nope. Monday. Monday. But if you need a dose of my what do you call it, a visit with me, I will be on at 4 o'clock, as far as I know, Saturday and Sunday, for the Hunker Down holidays. Bye-bye.